friends. I thought I'd paint this over again for you since some of you had a hard time with my tricky, wonky camera angle the first time I painted this. So I'm going to do it again. As well, I actually like painting these. So the first time I painted this was on this really beautiful Nomad handmade paper. With the deckled edge. Love it. I'm actually going to give this to somebody, but I'm going to paint it this time on my 100% cotton Meeden paper. And as you know, I love the Artisto pads. They're actually my favorite. Let me grab one here. So I love these. These are typically what you see me painting in because they have this ring binder. I can keep all of my paintings together, my swatches. I can refer back to it. I label them. If I do want to give one of these paintings to someone, it's perforated, so I just tear it out. And it's got a great texture on it. I love this paper. And I've tried a lot of student grade. This is my favorite. But today, this is just maybe one step up from the Artisto. It's not quite as expensive as the Arches. It's 100% cotton cold press. So I'm going to use this. It's also on a block, which for those of you that may not know what that is, it's just sealed on all edges. And when you are finished painting and it dries, let me show you. Meeden actually gave me, with mine, this little tool, and you just slip that in the opening here and you go around the edge and it just releases it from the block. So for those of you that work very wet in wet, that's a great little tool, and you don't have to tape your paper down and it won't warp while you're painting. So today I'm using, and I will find this brush on Amazon and share it with you. This one's ancient, don't even know where I got it. I've had it forever, but it's just a little fan brush, and that's what I'm going to use to create kind of this feathery textured edge. Is that fan brush. And then I'm using my MeiLiang paints today. As you know, I love, and I use those a lot because they're affordable for me to paint with every day. And they do have the big palette here has the metallics, and then I've got my 2 containers of water, as you know, one to rinse, one to wash, one to rinse. And let's go ahead and get started. All right, I'm going to use my green that I like is I mix olive and sap green. So that's just what I'm going to use today. So I'm going to use my brush to get a little bit of that on my palette here. Let's see, we got some sap green in here, making sure that I'm loading my brush from the side, not going in and destroying my tip. So I'm just getting a little bit of that on my brush. There we go. And then I'm just going to add next to it some of that olive green, which is a little bit darker. Oops, I almost stuck my brush in my coffee. So I really like that green, but I do want to have a little bit of a lighter green in here too. So I'm going to pick up in the MeiLang palette, this is called tree green, but you could add, if you don't have that, just add a tiny bit of yellow to your sap green and that will be just fine. There we go. So I want to have a mixture of both of those so we have some variety. Okay, so I've got some of that there, and that is a mixture. That's about a medium value, especially in these trees. We want to make sure we have a dark value, a medium value, and then this light value for the distant tree, and that's going to give a lot of depth. So the way you get those is just the water to paint ratio. So for this, it's going to be about 90% water, 10% pigment, and so on. Okay, let's go ahead and get started here. I've got some paint dripping. And I'm going to go in and just create this first tree here. So I'm going to use the lighter color because we can always build. And I'm going to use the side of my brush like this, just to kind of get that point. And then I start going in with the side of my brush. And this was kind of inspired, by the way, I'm adding in a little bit of that darker green, I got on a binge the other night watching Bob Ross. He was so fascinating. He just made everything look so easy. And look at how beautiful. So that's why I wanted to keep these separate versus mixing them in my palette. A lot of times I really wait and I will mix my paints on my paper. I just love seeing that technique, and I love how watercolor, that is something that really I was thinking about when I was watching him too, is, you know, he painted it in oil, and I'm sure there's ways to do some really fun techniques, but for the most part, oils don't blend like watercolors. Okay, now from here, I'm going to create a really washy, I'm using a lot of water here. And just kind of pulling this down. And then I'm going to go in there with some blue. So I'm going to use, I've got some blues on my palette here. I'm going to just go ahead and grab those. And they are, I don't know, I think this is a mix of turquoise and some Prussian blue a little bit in there. And I just want to give the hint of water. Now I want to go in before that dries and bring in some of that tree look. So rinsing my brush, leaving some white spaces in there as well. Oops, got some of the hair came off of this brush. I'm telling you guys, this brush is so old, I don't even know where I got it from. I've had some of my brushes for so many years. I think I even have a few from college, if you can believe that. Pick up a little bit more of that Prussian blue, which is almost a black. Oh, I just drop some in there. That's okay. We're going to work with it. Sometimes I think the paint knows better what to do than me. And I have a little bit of dry brush even going on here, which I like. So I'm just using the edge of my brush. There we go. If you want to soften any of that, you can. Maybe go in one more time and just create some of that tree reflecting in the water. And then let's go up with a very, very washy mix. So a lot of water, and create a tree next to it. And then I'll go in and add some darker values in here. So this is very washy. Just to kind of give the idea of some of these trees in the background. And you don't want any too hard of brush strokes because we want this to look like it's in the background. Might even make it some darker spots. There we go. And then let's go into this tree and create some darker values. So I'm going to grab some more of that olive green and go in here and add those in. And then I'll go in and add the trunk into there. There we go. Okay, let's grab I'm going to grab, this is an angle brush, but even a flat brush. This is another brush, by the way, that's really old. I have a newer one that's my favorite, Princeton, but we're going to use this today because it's what I have sitting here. So I'm grabbing, I believe this is a Van Dyke brown. Any dark brown is just fine. And we're going to go in and just add little bits of the trunk showing through here. Like that. Okay. And then I might even go in and wash and rinse my brush. My water's getting a little dirty here. That's why it's so important to clean your brushes a lot, because that paint will carry over. And I'm going to go in and just create a few little spots in there. And if that's too hard edge, you can go in and soften that by washing and rinsing your brush, and you have like a thirsty brush there, and then going in and touching the sides of those hard edges, and that will definitely soften that for you. So there you go. I'm pretty happy with that. Now if you want to add some more dark edges, now that it's wet, you could go in there and add some more of that. So there you go. That was really basically what I did on the other painting. So I've got this tree in the foreground here, and then I've got the other tree in the background, and I might even add some color variations there. It's still kind of wet, so it's creating a very blurry background type of wash. And I wanted to keep this simple. I didn't want to have any background really. I just wanted to, I'm gonna dab up some of the spills. I just wanted to create something very quick and easy, and I could make a little card out of it. So that's what I did here. And I hope you guys give this a try, and I hope that was not liking the hard edges here. Easy for you. Really, when you do this, I would go through and add in that stump, not stump, the trees, that middle part. I would do that while the green is wet, so you get a little bit more of a blend there. Looks a little bit more natural. There we go. And leaving some of those white spaces. Yeah, see, that looks better when the trunk is blended in. There you go. All right. We could even add a little touch of brown to look like a little bit of a shore. You don't have to, but might be kind of pretty, but you want to use a really washy color of that brown, just to maybe depict a tiny bit of dirt on that edge. And there you go. All right, everybody, I hope that was a little bit better for you, and you enjoyed that. And this was from a different angle, so maybe that was easier to follow for you guys. All right, have fun.